Welcome to Turning the Verge. My name is Laura Collins, and I'm your host for today.
Mornings I'll be getting up. Mornings I'll be setting up a tiny table for two. Breakfast, I'll be making his breakfast. He'll be taking his shave and his shower. My happy hour. The coffee is steaming. Oh boy, what I'm dreaming while I'm cooking breakfast for the one I love. My baby likes bacon, and that's what I'm making while I'm cooking breakfast for the one I love. Our life has been so nice and chummy right from the start. When I want his tummy, I want his heart. My baby is happy, no wonder I'm happy while I'm cooking breakfast for the one I love. My baby likes bacon, oh yes, and that's what I'm making while I'm cooking breakfast for the one I love. Oh yes, he's wiping the dishes and he's breaking the dishes while I'm cooking breakfast for the one I love. I cook a plate of steaming oatmeal. Taste it, but shucks, who the heck likes oatmeal sprinkled with Lux? It's a little mistake. To prove that he's grateful, he eats a big plateful, then faints right after breakfast for the one he loves. Oh,
Very nice. Very nice.
I'll try again tomorrow.
that I'm dying to know. First off, wardrobe. I love what you're wearing.
Oh, is he being me? collect um, older garments from the 30s is my favorite, but also things made in other times. Just because I'm discontented with most of the things that they make these days. So you have to be a good mender. But my favorite is 1930s garments.
Oh, I love them
To
too.
me, the design never got better.
What was your inspiration? What was your inspiration for music growing up?
Well, my father had a very nice record collection, LP records, and so I grew up mostly listening to classical music and some world music. And my father also built analog synthesizers in his art studio, and so I heard some odd sounds as the soundtrack to my childhood. And but for the most part, it was every night there was wonderful music emanating from his painting studio, and I spent a lot of evenings just playing LP records. And so that was sort of just a part of life, was just, listening to music in the evenings and hearing new things.
Do you find that you have followed that in your music? That kind of that's what your band is made of? Is all the roots that you came from and your dad, and that's what's gotten you where you are?
Well, it made me musically curious, and
Did you start playing instruments and stuff as well, or do you focus primarily on singing?
well, growing up, I learned to play classical piano, and I was just a music buff. I just collected things, and when I went to college, I was listening to a radio station here called KMPC, and they played classic American music, which was mostly 1940s music, and so I found that first, and and I was also enamored with old movies and things like that. And so when I was at UCLA, I spent a lot of time in the music library, and then I started to find earlier things from the 20s and 30s, and that's what really got me going.
Yeah, I absolutely love your style. Do you are you from here in Orange County? Is this your stomping ground?
I'm visiting. I'm visiting. We live up in Los Angeles, and and I live in Alhambra.
Yeah. What do you think of LA? Do you play a lot out there?
Yes, we play regularly in LA. You want to know our regular spot?
I would love to know it and your upcoming show, so I can definitely go.
We play every month, first Thursday of every month at the Steve Allen Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. And this will be our 8th year there. And we wreak havoc there once a month. And then we play some other nice venues in Altadena and the Old Town Music Hall in El Segundo. That's one of the few places I play down south. And we play here at the Muckenthaler Cultural Arts Center usually a couple times a year.
Do you have a website so I could look up music and so your fans can find you?
Find me. It's www.janetklein.com. Klein. I have a fine art background, so I come from that place, and I also came from writing poetry. So I love all those types of things. I like fine art and drawing and painting, and I follow historical bents everywhere I can, so that if I leave the city, or if I as I bob around Los Angeles, I'm always looking for the layers of history, whether it unfolds in the architecture and the old places in town. I look for the wide boulevards with palm trees, and then I know I can find visions of old California. And I love old restaurants that are still intact. Every town we ever go to, we always want to find places like that.
You're really into this vintage, old-fashioned thing. Would you say you live by those? I'm just curious on a personal level. Would you say you live by those principles as well in your life?
I think,
The old school way of.
yeah, I mean, for the longest time when I was growing up, I thought I had the taste of an old lady, and I had a lot of older people in my family that I found more interesting than the other kids I knew, and my grandmothers, my I knew two of my great-grandparents, and they all went through the Depression, and I just loved their sensibilities. They didn't waste things. They made things by hand. They were great seamstresses and knitters and menders, and then my father was an artist and a animator, and everybody around me were very interesting people, and they made things, and the older people had great stories that I was always grilling them for more about the old country, which for my family was Poland, and some stories of France and Germany, but mostly Poland, and also New York City. And most of the stories and photographs were of them in New York in the 1920s and 30s. And so that really captured my imagination, I think. And
Definitely. Okay. Do you have a moment when you're just in your jeans and a t-shirt and you're kicking back and it's your moment to step out of the old-fashioned box and you just have your favorite thing you do, be it that you like to go to the beach at night and walk around, or you like to scream and yell, or you like to listen to punk rock music sometimes, or what is it you like to do that's your wild side?
Uh-oh. No, I even garden in a dress. I'm pretty pure that way, except I could like, you know what? I like Jimi Hendrix, although I don't listen to that very often, but I appreciate it.
She likes Jimmy. She likes Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, I used to listen to Led Zeppelin.
and the Zeppelin. Gotta love the Zeppelin.
I still appreciate it. But I'm an appreciator.
Okay, how long have you and the band been together?
We have been playing together since about 1998. So it's getting to be a lot of years. And yes, and I have one of my band members here.
Oh,
Hello.
Oh, how am I on? Oh, hello. Nice to meet you.
I think I did that the wrong way. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. My name is...
With the band since '98?
Well, I think I met Janet because I don't know if you know my background, because I was actually around when this music was still being played in Britain, where I'm from. And I've had various bands and been in rock and roll and so forth, and then found the true music, which is the old music, lovely melodic music, and people with good manners and so forth. And Janet and I met when we were at a special deal at McCabe's guitar shop in Santa Monica. It was called Uktopia. It was all about the ukulele. And Janet was one of the guests there, and I was one of the guests there. And we met in that way. And then later on, we were at another gig, playing separately. And I said to Janet, could I come and play on the accordion with you? And she said, that's fine. And I've been with her band ever since. In fact, I'm probably the longest lasting member apart from John Reynolds, I think. And you know, I play accordion for her, with her, I should say, ukulele and piano, and occasionally she'll let me sing a song or two.
I would love to hear you sing a song.
Well, you can hear me sing a song anytime. You go up onto YouTube and you put in Ian Whitcomb and you can see me singing my top 10 hit of 1965 when I was a teenage idol. And if you'd been around then, you might have been screaming for me. I might have been screaming for you. But anyway, I was a teen idol like Justin Bieber or something, because when I was younger, I was quite pretty in my time.
You know, I think you're quite pretty now. You know, I'm very frustrated that I didn't live in that time. And yes, and because I feel that I grew up with those principles myself, and what she was saying made sense about dressing that way even in every chance, you know.
Yes, but unfortunately it was the 60s that created the great breakdown.
It's true.
Unfortunately, and I was part of it, but when I grew up in England in the 50s, my family was still, as Janet said, of the old stock, and we used to dress well. My father always wore a tie. And also the other thing is that we used to do was we'd always get up when a woman came into the room, we'd stand up for them. And on the underground, the tube, the subway here, you would always stand up. If you had a seat and a woman came in, you give her your seat. Now, a few years ago, right out here in Los Angeles, I opened the door for a woman, and she went, oh, come on, are you out of date? Come on, don't you try that stuff on me. And I thought, oh, you know, so good manners, or the old-fashioned manners, have gone completely.
Don't be discouraged. They're not completely gone. Yeah, I'm a total sucker for everything like that.
I can see you are.
Okay. Not that you
No,
would.
Ian was one of the very few, well, one of the rock and roll people that was really interested all along in the 1920s music, and a lot of the other musicians were too. Like we heard George Harrison loved the ukulele. And
I love George
they
Harrison.
were often, well, in England, they all knew about George Formby, and Ian still shares a lot of those tunes.
Well, we won't go into who George Formby was, but he played the ukulele, and George Harrison and myself and all the rock and rollers in Britain grew up on George Formby songs. He was like, in this country, Louis Armstrong would be, or Bessie Smith. We all knew George Formby songs. Now, the thing is that, as Janet said, I started playing the ukulele in the 60s when I was a rock and roll star. I was playing it on these tour buses, and a rock and roll group called the Turtles said to me, I was touring with them on a Dick Clark caravan, and they said, you ought to record these songs you're playing on the ukulele, and I did, and I never sold another record. But the point is that I made these records with a ukulele, and now here's a true, well, they're all true stories. I was playing at McCabe's. We talked about McCabe's guitar shop in Santa Monica, where I first met Janet, and we were doing one of these Utopia shows, and I came down the stairs, and a woman came up to me and said, I don't think you know me, but I'm George Harrison's sister-in-law, my sister, Mary George. I want you to know that he loves your records. He's got a lot of your records on the ukulele and loves them. So I said, oh, that's great, because I met all the Stones and toured with them, never met the Beatles. And so I said, oh, that's great. Hang on. I went upstairs and came down with a whole pile more of my records and gave them to her. And she said, he likes you, but not that much.
He's a fan, but not that big of a fan.
You're overdoing it, which is I am inclined to do, actually.
All of them signed, right?
Well, I've always overdone it. My mother would say, look, you're very funny, but there are times when you need to shut up. So, anyway.
I so disagree.
Anyway, all right. Anyway, the point I would make about in Janet's presence, and Robert, who's a very important part of the whole Janet Klein band, because he does all the sound, and he's married to her. But what I would say, he produces the records which I play on. The point is that I actually love playing with Janet Klein. I love just to be in the background there accompanying her. Now, I have my own bands too, but I actually really enjoy playing with her more than playing with my own band. I just love accompanying. And sometimes she lets me accompany her. She has another chap who does it as well. But I just love, what I'm trying to say is that I love playing with Janet. And also, I watch her on the screen. You could go up onto YouTube now and look at the site called the Cicada Club. Now we play there. It's a beautiful place downtown. Beautiful. It's like a 1920s cabaret. And we played there 2 weeks ago, and they videotape it. And I went to watch the videotape. I'm not sure I told you this, Janet. And I'm always playing behind you, and I watched you from the front. I thought, she is really doing a wonderful job. Very few gestures, but the right gesture. Grace on stage, beautifully dressed, and just, the quintessence of classiness. And really, I mean that. And I always see Janet from behind, which is a pretty good view too. But she is terrific. So I'm really happy to be there accompanying her.
It's great for me. I went from being all alone and interested in old movies and old music, and there's a message there that even if you're all by yourself with something, maybe you come out with it and share it with other people, and then it's all just unfolded. I've met so many great musicians and music historians and film historians, and people send me things, and people tell me great stories about people and their families that used to play in bands, and we have composers and lyricists and things that, people that come out that that tell us their stories, and so
this is it. This is what your dream is. This is what you want to do. That's actually the American dream, is to do exactly what you want to do.
So yes, it's pretty dreamy.
It is pretty dreamy.
A lot of the Depression era music has been tried, and it works. That it can get you through some hard times.
I have to know, what are you doing now?
Well, I write books, song books actually, for Mel Bay and Alfred Music, and also for the Hal Leonard Company, who are the biggest music publishers in the world. And I have a new book coming out next month, June, and it's called Ukulele Heroes. It's the whole history of the ukulele from Hawaii onwards. But it does end up with us in the West Coast, because we actually started the whole revival on the West Coast. And so Janet's in the book. In fact, on page 2 of the book, there's a picture of Janet and I on the cover of a bit of sheet music of ours called Have a Martini, a song that we sing. And there's Janet and I. So that's a good book, and it's a ukulele book, and it'll be out very soon, as I said. Oh, you can get it anywhere. I mean, you just go online and put in Ukulele Heroes, Ian Whitcomb, and there it is. I mean, it's everywhere. It will be.
How would I get your CD if I wanted to purchase one?
And find them online.
On the website?
cdbaby.com is a good source, and and Amazon and all those regular sources. And there's a few nice storefront type places around Los Angeles that carry them. Amoeba and Canterbury Records in Pasadena, which is actually a shop where they feature compilations of 1920s music right on display, right when you open the door. It's extraordinary. Okay, go.
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, I love your loving arms. They hold a world of charms. A place to nest when I am lonely. A cozy Morris chair. Oh, what a happy pair. One caress, happiness seems to bless my little honey. I love you, Maurice dear. When years have passed away, though my love belongs to you only. 'Cause when the world seems wrong, I know that I belong right in my honey's loving arms.